You know, when Gabe was growing up, he was such a happy boy. Sometimes mischievous. We used to call him Meister, that was his nickname.
This is Gabe attempting to fish.
Gabe growing up was like any other kid, you know, he was busy, he was active, he was always happy. Way to go, Gabe! He was an outgoing individual, handsome, good looking, outgoing, smart, intelligent, had a lot of friends. And he was on his way to becoming, I believe, a model adult.
Gabe was very popular. He got interested in many activities like archery, scuba diving, kayaking, everything you could think of, Gabe was on it.
He was hardly ever at home. He was always outside doing something, either like dirt biking in the summer, snowmobiling in the winter. He just was a very outgoing kid, you know, just drew people in all the time.
He was always adventurous, always getting into trouble without meaning to, like just getting into little accidents, always wanting to explore and check things out, always wanting to try something new, making us laugh.
Gabe was so outgoing and so crazy and just so out there that never really cared what anyone thought about him, you know, no one had anything bad to say about him.
He always wanted to do so much. He always had drive and ambition. And, you know, that's what made him who he was.
We were always having adventures. I know Gabe was known for like just always trying something new and just being a leader, I guess. And yeah, like he was free climbing, he was kayaking, he was doing archery, magic, like it just, you know, doing all that stuff, right? And like, life was limitless.
Growing up, him and I, we were always very competitive with each other. We always had to one-up each other, you know, do better in this class or get one extra award than the other person got. And it was kind of like brother and sisterly kind of fighting. And not only that were we competitive, but in high school we kind of did a lot of stuff together. We were involved in the Three Fires Confederacy together. We were both the heads of the committee. He was the chief and I was the deputy. And we also did stuff like E-Spirit, the Civex Student Exchange Program. We were on the committee for Relay for Life together. And
When I was living in Toronto, we had Gabe and Savannah over for our first Thanksgiving away from home. Savannah was in school in London, Gabe was in school in Barrie. And it was only living in one bedroom, two-car garage kind of apartment. Just a tiny little place. Me and Jen just had basically our kitchen, living room. Anyways, we had Savannah and Gabe over that weekend. Went and watched some Zombieland. I remember that, sitting in the third row right from the front screen, heads tilted back way up like that. All of us just looking at each other, just like having that look like all of our necks were just sort of like, can't believe we're sitting through this movie like this. And yeah, cooked some ham. I don't know what else we had. Scalloped potatoes. It was delicious. What else? We even sat at a table, our little shitty shanty table that just rickered all over the place. We had to have balance underneath with papers and make sure no one put too much pressure on one side so that one thing wouldn't tilt over to the other. Oh yeah, good times. Yeah, that was our first Thanksgiving.
He was in school in Barrie, going to college. He was in one program and then he transferred to another. He was going to take underwater skills management, and he was hoping to travel the world doing that type of work. But in 2011, on the May long weekend, it was a warm, sunny day, clear skies. Max and I were at a family funeral down in Georgetown, and we were on our way home.
It was just a wonderful day that day when we had just come back from Las Vegas with my daughter and her husband, and we were just having the time of our lives. We never thought that anything would happen. And then when we got the call that evening, our world just shattered.
Getting out of the outer limits in Barrie, I got a phone call from one of the officers that my husband works with. Max is a police officer, of course, on Manitoulin, but one of the officers kindly asked me to pull over. She had something to tell me. Immediately I pulled over, I handed the phone to Max, and I just shook because I knew it was something bad. She said that Gabe was being airlifted. I thought this was going to be easy. Gabe was being airlifted, and he had been in a motor vehicle accident.
We didn't know what was going on, so we didn't know whether Gabe was going to be even alive by the time we got to Sudbury. So it was really, really tough.
We couldn't take Highway 69 back up to, because he was being airlifted to Sudbury, so they advised us to go around the North Bayway to on Highway 11 instead. So that's what we ended up doing. And as we were traveling, of course, we had vehicle problems and our engine kept getting hot and we had to keep pulling over. Just the most excruciating drive trying to get to my son.
Of course, the stupid thing starts acting up on us. And watching the temperature gauge go climbing higher and higher and higher. And finally, so we had to pull over.
So what happened was North Bay and Powassan police stepped in and they agreed to intercept us so they could pick me up and take me to Sudbury as soon as possible, because they didn't think Gabe was going to make it. It was so, his accident was so catastrophic.
My first thought was, I don't want to lose Gabe. I already lost Josh. You know, that was the first thing I said to my daughter. Can't lose Gabe. We didn't know how badly he was hurt. We didn't know what had happened. All we know was that he was in a terrible accident. It was a life and death situation. And we all just wanted to be with my daughter and her family.
We made it to Sudbury, and that's when I immediately went to the emergency room. All of my family was there waiting because they went to the hospital to be with Gabe till Max and I could get there. And then we waited because he was still in surgery, and hours went by, and he got taken up to the ICU after his surgery. And I finally got to see my son very briefly, and it's something you don't ever want to see as a parent, seeing your child so broken.
So it just so happened that I'm living here in St. Thomas, and my family had come down to visit that weekend, some of my family. So when we got the news, we were all in shock. We just couldn't believe it. Like, we kept, first thing that goes to your mind is the worst case scenario. Is Gabe gonna live? Are we gonna go there and find out that he's died on us?
I was so scared. I didn't know what was gonna happen. I couldn't lose one of my best friends. It was a really scary time.
all we knew that Gabe was in critical condition, that they were trying to stabilize him and stop the bleeding. And yeah, just remember, like they're saying, he had real brutal internal bleeding. Didn't really have much information at that time, so just really wanted to be there for my Auntie Bev and try to keep her calm and just stay positive during the whole time. Everybody else, just minds were going crazy at the time too.
Yeah, Gabe was just always so full of life, and that's why I think there's no room for death to enter after his accident.
When we got the phone call that he was being flown to Toronto, we didn't even think for a second. Like, we just got in the cars, packed everything up, and we headed out. Probably got to Toronto about like 3 in the morning.
Yeah, in the hospital, I really felt for my brother, and just, to be honest, I was kind of angry at the way things went, but just because I didn't like seeing my brother in that kind of state, you know. A lot of sadness, but also a lot of good times too. And again, having family around really made it easier in Toronto, like right after. Just being able to forget about it for just a sec, you know, just for 1 minute, and just kind of laugh with family, and then, okay, now it's time to get serious again, you know, and stuff like that.
It was such a hard time, it was such a difficult time to see my family suffer so much. So as I said, Gabe was in a very tragic accident. I think every part of when I saw him that first time, I didn't think he would live.
I still remember seeing Gabe for the first time after his accident. Me and Dave walked into the ICU, like we can only go in 2 at a time, and it was really, really hard because me and Dave didn't even recognize Gabe. We were told that he was in this bed number 4. We walked over there and we're like, is this him? Like, it didn't look like him at all. And
So bad it was, and I'm just so glad, so happy, so grateful that Gabe is here with us today. It was a long journey for all of us, and such a mixed emotions, you know. You don't know how to console your family, you know. What words can you say, you know, in a situation like that? No words can really could really express how you felt, but just to be with the family, and I believe we were there for quite a while till he was a little bit more stable. But it was a life-changing experience for all of us. Our family has never been the same since. I think it got us closer, though. We were all closer than ever before. We were always close, but even that brought us closer.
No, just thinking about Gabe and the way Gabe was living his life. I looked at that in the same way, is that he was just full of life, and even though death was knocking at his door, literally pounding on his door, trying to get in there. There was no room for death in his life, and he would survive.
He finally stabilized at St. Michael's Hospital. You know, we were happy. You know, he was alive. He was striving, and that's all we could hope for.
When I think back on that time, it's hard for me to look back and see the person I was at that time, because Gabe died several times, really, because his heart stopped about 4 or 5 times in those couple of days that we were in Toronto. And in my mind, I'm thinking that I'm already starting to plan his funeral. What am I going to do when I get home? But anyway, Gabe persevered, and it was through the power of prayer and our beliefs and support from all our family and friends.
With our family, you know, even though it's maybe a difficult time and everything, we can still joke with each other. You know, humor and camaraderie has always been a part of our life, and that's how we deal with things, you know, just to help alleviate some of that stress. You know, we can be there for each other, but we can still laugh. And, you know, we cry too if we have to, and we did a lot of crying. And, you know, you'd never know what to say to, you know, your sister who's, you know, bad. We didn't know what to say to her. We didn't know how to comfort her, you know, because words are, you know, words don't really mean much, you know. But I think our being there, our supporting her, you know, being at the hospital with her, staying close, never leaving, giving her the opportunity to rest when she needed it, was, you know, the best that we could do during this time. Our love, you know, our prayers for Gabe, I think that's why he's here today, because we rallied. You know, and of course it's, you know, goes to the doctors and the hospital personnel and everybody else that worked on Gabe to make him, you know, survive the accident. But I think it was our faith and Bev and Max's undying love and their hope and their positivity, you know, that Gabe was going to pull through. They never let go of that, and they still haven't, you know, even now. So it's been a difficult time, but it's also been, you know, a time that pulls our family together. And so that's what we have to hold on to.
Gabe had some surgeries in Toronto to repair all the damage that had been done to his body. He had a broken femur on both sides. Up in the top part of his leg was compound fractures, broken ankles. He had a lacerated liver. He had internal bleeding. He had a spleen removed, and on top of the spinal cord injury. So for Gabe to even survive that first couple of hours, up to the first 24 to 48 hours, is a miracle in itself. I just so grateful for all the help and the amount of care that he got.
You know, and it's so hard when we live all across the province, and it's so hard to be together all the time. And it was difficult when Gabe moved back to Sudbury for me. I mean, I was happy, you know, he was close to home and he's with his parents. But for me, when I wanted to see him, it wasn't as easy as that, you know. And I felt like I couldn't be there all the time. I wanted to be there for Bev and help out more. I know that me just sending her a message or asking how she was doing was, you know, what she needed, and that's all I could ever hope for, and to keep praying.
We came back to Sudbury in hopes that Gabe would be weaned off a ventilator because he was being fed through a tube and put on a life support system because he couldn't breathe on his own. So they tried to wean him off that ventilator and they couldn't. They realized that Gabe's phrenic nerve had paralysis as well, so that meant he couldn't breathe on his own, and his left diaphragm was not working. So Gabe unfortunately got the worst type of pneumonia you can possibly get, and at the time, I think it was around July, the doctor said in all likelihood Gabe won't make it. He can't breathe on his own. He's going to get this chronic pneumonia infections, and there's nothing we can do basically. But we did a test, and they did find that no, he didn't qualify for this one diaphragmatic pacer. But he did qualify for another one where instead of the electrodes being attached to his phrenic nerve, it was attached directly to his diaphragm. But the costs weren't covered in Canada. So we ended up having to really rally fast with our community. Our community is Ondeck-Ominokani First Nation, and our chief and council at the time saved Gabe's life. They put up the money that we could purchase the diaphragmatic pacer until we could repay them back or come through with our insurance to cover the cost later. Time was really of the essence, and we didn't really have no choice, and I'm so thankful that Chief and Council stepped up to the plate and saved my son at the time, and it just still overwhelmed, but of all the help and the love and support we got from everybody. And then once we found a doctor from Cleveland, Ohio, Dr. Anders, he agreed to come to Sudbury to mentor the surgeons there till they could install the diaphragmatic pacer. So Gabe at the time was the 7th person in Canada to receive the diaphragmatic pacer. He's also the first in Ontario, actually the first patient west of the Rockies to receive this diaphragmatic pacer. So being new technology and not approved in Canada, Gabe ended up responding well to the device. Within several months, he was able to breathe on his own. They slowly weaned him off the ventilator with the support of the diaphragmatic pacer. And it was such a joy the first time I walked into his room not hearing the ventilator machine going off. And it was scary, of course, and I walked in there and Gabe he whispers to me, he mouths me because he still couldn't talk. He had all these tubes in his mouth, and he says, "What's different, Mom?" I look around his room and go, "I don't know. New bed?" Or he goes, "No," and I didn't even realize the machine was not in his room. And when you have somebody on life support and you're looking at those monitors all the time, and to have something not there that is supporting your son, it's scary and happy at the same time. The doctors in Sudbury were phenomenal with his care. I can't stress that enough, and we're so fortunate to have that level of care here in the north rather than us having to spend it in Southern Ontario or in Toronto for that matter. We were able to be closer to home while Gabe recovered. So around November that same year, Gabe and I flew to Ottawa Rehab Center, where we stayed for 3.5 months there. Gabe had to learn how to eat, how to breathe, how to talk, how to direct his own care. So many things he learned in that small amount of time. And the Ottawa Rehab Center was attached to the Ottawa Hospital, so we had extra care, I guess, too, with their respiratory department, which is world class and beyond anything we had ever seen, to help Gabe. And like I said, he learned everything. Again, it's like having a newborn. You have to learn how to assist them, how to do everything from start to finish. And at the time when we had left Sudbury, Gabe had lost so much weight because he was tube fed and he couldn't eat on his own. But by the time before we got to Ottawa, he was weaned off through a feeding tube, and he started gradually eating on his own. And that was another happy day. The first time I saw Gabe take something by his mouth, it's something you'll never forget. Just like when he was a newborn, it was something you never forget that sticks with you when you see your son grow or develop. So like I said, we spent many months in Ottawa, and I stayed with Gabe the whole time. I've never left Gabe during any part of this process either. I stayed there the whole time with him so I could learn, and I told him that I would never leave him. So, because Gabe became a quadriplegic, and you have to do everything for a quadriplegic.
It was pretty hazy in the first month because I was on a lot of drugs. I don't remember it all that well. And, well, I don't remember much of the accident now. But what they tell me is I broke both ankles, all 4 of my shin bones, both kneecaps, and both femurs. I broke a rib, which punctured a lung, and a hairline fracture on my jaw. I had a lot of internal damage with my brain, for one, because it got smashed around in the accident. And I tore my carotid artery, which made me bleed a lot on the inside, which caused my paralysis, because the blood got pooled in my spine and from all the swelling, and that's what caused paralysis from the neck down. What happened was, I guess, on the accident, I was in Sudbury first. They airlifted me from the area where I crashed to Sudbury, where they tried to stabilize, and then they flew me down to Toronto at 1 o'clock a.m. that night. I was in Toronto for about a month, and then they sent me back to Sudbury. I was in Sudbury for about 5 months, and then they sent me to rehab in Ottawa, and I was there for another 5 months. And I was about a year in the hospital. Oh yeah, and after I was done rehab, they sent me back to Sudbury for about a week or 2, and then I got sent to hospital close on the island, about 5 minutes away from home. I was there for about a month, and then I was let go out of the hospital, and that was about a year after the accident.
So as time went by, we lived at an adaptable apartment until we could build Gabe's new home. So that was another year-long process. The home was built here in Onondaga-Ominakaning. It's designed for all of Gabe's needs. The wide doors, the flat level coming into the home. There's other things we have to do yet, like install an elevator and the PA system for him so he can call for us. Right now I'm working around with like a baby monitor for him to call, and Right now I'm thinking about him in the next room because I can't hear him. We don't have nursing care with us or an attendant care with us right now. So I do all of Gabe's care. I do have support in the morning with some PSWs that help me do his morning care. Other than that, I'm Gabe's worker all the time. And I enjoy doing it. I love that I'm able to look after my son despite his condition, because that means he's here with me, he's living, he's breathing. And he's not just a memory, he's alive and well.
Since the accident, my body's changed, of course. Well, it's kind of hard to explain how my body feels, but most days my arms feel pretty warm, like they're over a fire. My hands, since the accident, always feel like my fingers are broken in each direction, and I'm trying to squeeze my hand, but nothing's moving. My legs never feel different. They always feel like they're just tied down. And
We can't control Gabe's body temperature.
yeah,
Like it's warm, 20 degrees out right now, but to him it's like 10 degrees or lower. So if you see Gabe outside in the middle of summer and he's all bundled up, that's why we can't control the way his body temperature is now. Like he doesn't sweat as much like on the rest of his body. He can sweat where he feels, like from up higher.
yeah,
But the rest of his body doesn't know when to sweat to cool him down, or just doesn't regulate anymore.
yeah. What I do every day, well, my routine, basically, I wake up really early most days. I usually just stay awake until around 7 o'clock, and then I start getting ready for the day. And
Well, let's talk a little about what I do. I get Gabe prepared for his workers to come in. So because like Gabe said, he's up very early in the morning, anywhere from 5 to 6 o'clock, and then he kind of waits for me to get up. The nice boy that he is, he lets me sleep for a little bit so I can get a lot of rest, because I do a lot of Gabe's care. So he tries to give me some rest. And what I do is I do his lung volume recruitment as soon as we get up in the morning to clear any secretions in his chest. I give him his pills. I do his injection, and I prepare him, like get the bed ready, take his booties off for the nurses, drain his urine bag, and feed him, and that's it. And then the PSWs come in, and they do his personal care, like his washing, grooming, teeth brushing, and his personal care,
yeah,
like the washing stuff that Gabe can't do on his own anymore, so the PSWs are there to help Gabe relieve himself.
yeah, and get through the day.
And that process, from start to finish, probably takes about 2 hours. Once the nurses or the PSWs are done, Gabe usually watches TV or plays on his Xbox until noon,
Yeah.
and then we have lunch. And then he naps sometimes.
Yeah, I usually try and nap at least once a day, either in the morning or in the afternoon. I do play a lot of video games lately. I have a controller that I can use, and it's really made the days go by faster. Takes my mind off I guess takes my mind off of what life is like, really. I don't know how to say that.
The monotony of day in and day out of being stuck in a bed. You're trying to alleviate a lot of those. I forget how to say it too, Gabe. The overwhelming despair.
Yeah.
We try to alleviate it as best we can. Some days are good, and a lot of days Gabe has some bad days. But overall,
Good.
Gabe's
I'm a pretty positive guy.
yeah, he always have been.
I always look to good stuff. The good things in my life. Like my mother being here all the time, helping me getting itches. Yeah, my
Like
nose.
right now.
And my father for helping me. And
All the technical stuff
all the
that,
technical
that
stuff.
I can't do. I do all the caregiving and emotional stuff. Max takes care of all the technical and the lifting and all the other stuff that goes with the Gabe's care.
Yeah.
And we have Wesley, Gabe's younger brother, that pops in from time to time and helps us with Gabe's care. He's trained in all of, Max and Wes are both trained in the stuff that I can do, they're able to do as well. But due to the personal nature of some of the care, they won't do. That's why I gotta be here all the time in case something has to be done with Gabe.
Yeah.
Or we have the PSWs trained as well, that it can come in and assist them when they're home alone with Gabe when I'm not here. Like I said, I'm here probably 360 days out of 365 days. There's not too often I go out. I try to force myself to go out maybe once a month for a few hours just to get some relief or respite care and to do some shopping for Gabe. So like I said, I'm still not comfortable. It's been 3 years and I'm still not comfortable leaving Gabe for very long periods of time.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that it's going to change over the next couple of years when we find some really good personal attendant cares that I can hire that Gabe and I are both comfortable with. When we go out, like for normal people, if you want to go somewhere, you just jump up and go. It takes you maybe 5 minutes to get ready to go somewhere.
Yeah.
With us, it's a couple hours process. Like I have to get Gabe fed, dressed, do all his meds, make sure his lungs are clear, prepare the van. He has an adaptable van that's was custom built for him. So and then we do use the lift to get him out of bed. So there's a lot of prep work, get his chair ready, and then reposition him in the chair. Make sure I have all his equipment because I got to bring everything with me in case something happens. So, like I said, it's normal for me now. But if somebody would see the amount of work that goes into Gabe's care, it's quite phenomenal when I think about it. Okay?
Yes, quite a lot.
It's normal for us now, but if we had more time, we could actually show you the amount of work that's required to keep Gabe out of the hospital. And that was our ultimate goal from day one. We didn't want Gabe living in a hospital setting, which was going to happen to him if we didn't get him off a ventilator. And thank God for the doctors and the pacers and the research that went on to get Gabe out of the hospital.
Oh yeah.
And living at home within a year, which is quite miraculous. And I want to mention too, like I said, I'm here with Gabe all the time, and when I'm away from Gabe or we're not together, it just feels weird. It doesn't feel right, Gabe?
Yeah.
We both get anxious when I'm out shopping or if I'm away. We're both anxious because it's been 3 years now, and we've always been together to ensure your health and safety. And like I said, it's normal for us now.
Yeah, probably saved my life 1,000 times. Like without the LVR, I don't know. I might not be here right now. If I didn't have the LVR and the cough assist.
No, and your workers are really awesome.
Yeah.
The doctors, the nurses, everybody.
Yeah, all the doctors are.
Yeah, even though we live in a rural area, that was one of our main concerns moving home. Would we have the supports? And we have it 100% and more. To be able to live in a rural area at home on a First Nation is it's quite a testament to the level of care that we get on Manitoulin Island, and I'm so proud of everybody.
Oh yeah, me too.
Life for Gabe today is, he has his good days and he has his bad days, and but I know he's still thankful for what he's given. Even though sometimes he still questions it and stuff, but like why me? But he's still coping with that, and that's gonna take time. But still, I can see him smile, and we can still laugh, and he's always he's just a total optimist, you know.
He's with us. It's been 3 years since the accident, and you know, Gabe is Gabe. He still loves movies. He still loves, you know, books. He still loves doing things. You know, he loves having friends over, which I wish there was more of. He loves his family, you know, and every time we get together, it's, you know, always good times and laughter and social, you know, like it's a social event. We all love Gabe. We all want to be there for him. And that's all that I can hope for, that we can continue to have this time with him, and just, you know, him being here on a daily basis is a miracle. And I'm truly grateful that he's here with us.
I try to get here as much as possible, but also just trying to, you know, with my life too, right? I gotta move on with my life, and but I'll always be here for Gabe. My mom is definitely here for Gabe all the time. She doesn't have to decide, you know, and that just shows true tenacity, you know, and unconditional love. And I know if I were in the same state, I know I'd have that too, you know. But I don't know. I don't know if I'd be. I don't think I'd be as strong as Gabe.
One thing that I hope is that, you know, people finally realize that Gabe is still the same person, and they finally realize that I need to go and see him, you know, because you might not want to remember Gabe like that, but just think of how he remembers you is one thing that I've always thought about. I understand that people might be afraid to go and see him. I'm not gonna lie, there's moments where I've been scared when I first started going there. Like, I didn't know what to expect a lot of the time. But the only way to get over that is to, you know, be there for him and go see him and learn these things. And even now, going back home, even just being there for a week and just, you know, hanging out with him, doing whatever, it still doesn't feel like it's enough, you know. There's times where I kind of wish like I could move back and, you know, just be there for him all the time, hang out with him. It really sucks, you know, to hear that nothing's changed and it's been about 3 years since his accident. So I just hope people see that, you know, don't forget about him.
Yeah, I wish I could get up and see him more often, but I do always love to sit there, you know, just bring Gabe up to date with anything, you know, music, entertainment, movies, comic relief, videos, funny videos on YouTube, just random stuff. It's always fun to go visit him. He's still the same person, still the same personality. Talk to him about anything, joke around about anything. Just sucks that no one really goes visit him back home or anything like that, from what I hear anyways. I don't really get to see him much, but I'm down here. Yeah, like Gabe's still the same person, outgoing, still got the same personality. Still having a hard time remembering stuff, but other than that, like, I don't know why people don't go visit him. Maybe because, I don't know, in their minds he might be not the same person, but I don't know, just go there and find out. Just seems like you almost have to have, like, the only time to really come over is when you have to have a party for them to drink is the only time, really.
You know, when I was there for a week, you know, like, I think I saw maybe 2 visitors come in to see Gabe. You know, one of them was at the church that my brother-in-law belongs to. There was 2 ministers from his church. And then one other time, you know, it's just one friend that I've seen of his come and seen him during that time I was there. And you know, when being here and I don't see my friends often, you know, it's hard for me. But I can just imagine how hard it is for Gabe to not have his friends stop by and visit. And that's what I wish, you know, like, irregardless of what his body is or how he is right now, inside he's always going to be the same Gabe, you know, the same one who jokes around, who tells stories, who laughs with his friends. And that's what I wish for him. I wish for him to have, you know, like a life, you know, instead of having to rely on, you know, television, movies, those kind of things, you know, to keep him occupied. you know, whatever happened to somebody just popping by for 15 minutes, you know, that 15 minutes can make his day, his week.
Yeah, for like, you know, if you ever get the thought of coming to visit Gabe, he's always down. He's really enjoys company, no matter who it is. You know. Yeah, and I wish his friends kind of came over more, but you know, I understand too that, and he understands too that, you know, we have our own lives and people are busy, right? And yeah, but like I said, he enjoys every visit. Yeah.
Since the accident, and I've noticed people, it's hard for people to see me like this, because I was such an active person, always out, always visiting everybody, and then to all of a sudden just stop and not be able to go anywhere. Stuck, I guess, and in critical conditions, so lots of people probably just couldn't stand to see me like this, so I was kind of quiet for a while. Only really close friends came to visit, and surprisingly,
From Gabe having a list of friends like this, it dwindled to like this when his visitor went after the accident. And there were times when it really, really hurt Gabe that people weren't coming to see him. And we give them the benefit of the doubt that they were shy, or they couldn't, like Gabe said, didn't want to see Gabe the way he was. But thinking on it now, you were really hurt.
I was.
Yeah. Gabe at some point was saying, well, people come in, and he'd be in tears. I'm not gonna lie. He said, Mom, because Gabe lost a lot of his memories, like he said, about 2.5 years he lost prior to that. And he goes, was I an asshole before the accident? Why nobody's coming to see me? That just broke my heart. And Gabe's had some really good close friends, and some of them didn't see him for probably a year. Some of them still haven't seen Gabe or come to see him.
Famous last words people say. Oh, I'll come see you a lot more. I'll come see you a lot more, and I won't see them again after that. And not once has someone been honest.
Lives go on, I guess, and for Gabe, it's you're kind of stuck because you don't get to move forward like the rest of them. And I'm not gonna lie, I've been jealous of other, strangers I don't even know, when I see them moving their hands. They're in a wheelchair, but they're still able to use the top part of the body, and I'm jealous, and because I wish Gabe could have that too, to move one arm, but he can't. And but I'm hopeful with technology and the new treatments coming around spinal cord injury that Gabe will at least be able to maybe breathe on his own. That'd be awesome, to get rid of this pacer and Gabe can breathe on his own, or get used to one hand. Gabe can do so much with one hand. And that's the hope. Other than that, we know that God kept Gabe here for a reason, and people should come visit him more to find out.
Yeah.
Amen, eh, Gabe? Love you so much. My name is Beverly Dawson. I'm just kidding.
Go and see him.
Yeah.
I hear them laughing outside, I think. Sorry. I'm getting all comfortable here.
Take 3.
Cut.